some UI stuff. Okay, cool. So we are live now. Awesome.
All right.
So let's try to pick up where we were a couple weeks ago. Let's show people the your word wall thing that you built.
Sure. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Does that sound right?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Now this is a little different than Hangout. How do I share the screen now?
It's a little screen share in the toolbox on the left. It's like a green computer icon.
I got you. Okay. There it is. Okay. So we have our responses. We have our little response form. I'm going to open up the script editor. Take a look at this. And make sure everything still works. And get the dev info loaded. Okay. Form response viewer. What sheet are we loading? Picker comes up. And
this is the response file, right?
Right. This is the.
So basically, you added an extra step, like a picker, where you can pick.
Yeah.
Once you run the app, you can pick whatever form response sheet you're using, and then that will basically work with the web app to then display the responses.
Exactly. So the thing we were going to add would be a little UI add-on right inside of the Google Sheet that would then just kick you right to that page. So you can just find a little drop down, and then it would send you right here without having to go through the picker or any of that.
Sure.
Though, why is it choosing the wrong?
You're picking the wrong response form, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna have to change around the way that we're building these little things, but that's okay.
But we also fixed it, right, so that the backgrounds would change, so it looked a little.
Yeah, so that's why it's
so cooler looking.
You know, you've got red, yellow, orange, green in here, and then things highlight and you know, disappear as we go along.
Right.
So I'm thinking about starting with the a little add-on that will send it right to this script. So building an add-on for the Google Sheets. I'm going to just start a completely new project in the script editor. And we're going to end up publishing this as an add-on for Google Sheets.
Love it.
Now, this is really small.
So are you just going to maybe start with function on install, or?
Yeah.
So on install, right?
And then when you install, we'll just run on open, and that way it'll do the same thing when we install.
So maybe just really quickly for those watching, like a function on open on install is a way when the sheet opens, it actually installs the add-on in the add-on menu, which is pretty cool. So it's a pretty basic code, and then here in a second we can show how to add the menu items.
Exactly. These are just built in, they're called triggers. and you can find them in the documentation. But these are just simple triggers built into add-ons for sheets, docs, or forms. On open, basically we'll run something that as soon as the document is open, it's going to do something. And what we want it to do is add a custom menu up here that gives us underneath this little add-on thing. So we want our own menu that says, boom, we want to run this. Script, right? So it gives us a little bit of user interface to work with. So in order to do that, we're just going to call the spreadsheet app get UI. Then the UI we're going to add. Now I forget. Now is it create add-on
menu?
Create add-on menu. We're going to add an item. We'll call it.
So the caption is what will actually display in the add-on menu. That'll be the text that'll show up.
And we want to just call it Open Wonderwall, or?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. And then the function obviously should be the same name as the function that you want to run. And you do need to put it in. Yeah, there you go.
It needs to be. Does it need to be in these apostrophes?
Yeah, it needs to be in the apostrophes. Yeah.
It's still taking a string, even though we're technically calling a function.
Right.
And I'm actually going to use this dot notation and kind of drop things down just for my own. And then we're going to add item, and then we're going to add to UI. Because I think that's the only thing we need to run from this menu.
Yeah, that looks great. And so I think for everyone watching like that you have an add-on menu. I mean, obviously the thing that's missing is the function to run, but if you go back, if you save that and go back, you might have to refresh the sheet, Jordan, but if you can go back, we can see now that there should be an add-on.
Sure. Don't I need to test it? I think I need to run it test as add-on.
No, actually, if you go back to your sheet, you can see it immediately.
Just refresh it.
Yeah, if you just refresh it and then, sorry, it closed your script editor, but if you go to add-ons, there should be now in the menu on that copy of Padlet or whatever.
Oh yeah, there it is. Wonderwall.
There it is, Wonderwall.
And then we're going to
open. Now, if you do it, it won't run anything because we haven't added the function yet, but let's add the function now.
Do that now. Open Wonderwall. And everything is case sensitive, so okay. Oh, we're going to open this Wonderwall. The first thing we need to do is get the data from the sheets that we currently have open. Because when we run this, we want to run it on any form response that we have. And this right now is just going to be whatever whatever we have open. That's why it was messed up when I did this earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just had it on the wrong sheet.
It's just on a random one. Sure.
I'm gonna delete that. Oh, it's linked to a form. But let's just delete this so we can. Okay, so these are our actual responses. In here, we need to get the data from the sheet. So let's get the sheet equals spreadsheet app dot. We want to get. I think we can get active spreadsheet, and then I think we can just get active sheet. Is that right?
Yeah, that looks good.
Get active sheet. Okay, so we have a sheet. We want to do get data range, and then we're going to get values, and we're going to call this. Let's call these values. Simple enough. And we need to. I'm sorry. Okay, this is how you get values from a sheet. but I forgot that I had set this up specifically to do it a different way. So
Right.
in the actual Wonderwall script that I built, let me reopen that.
Yeah, don't necessarily need to.
Because in that I had made it so that we could just use a do. We could just make it a simple like get request with the URL.
Right.
And now I totally started doing it a different way. So let's just go back to the Padlet test. Okay, and in here, if you send a GET request with a sheet ID parameter, it's going to open the viewer with the data from that sheet. So what we need to do is get the ID for this. Let's see. I'm having a hard time talking and doing.
Got a process.
So in this in the web app, you've got this URL, which I'm going to copy into our add-on here, and let's just call this. And at the end of it, we're going to add parameters. That is client ID equals make this easier. I'm going to plus equals client ID equals plus, and then we're going to add the sheet ID. I'm going to call this sheet ID. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Did that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so this sheet that we're going to have gotten, we're going to then create a sheet ID variable and call it sheet.get. We want to get ID. There's a get ID somewhere. Index. I don't want the index, I want the ID. I think it might be get ID. Spreadsheet. Get ID. There it is. I'm sorry. Okay. And I'll just call this variable sheet ID, spreadsheet app, get active spreadsheet, get ID. And then I'm going to put that ID at the end of this URL. Okay. And let's just logger.log URL and see what we have. Run, open Wonderwall. Need permissions. Because this is our spreadsheet and we're opening it on our screen, it shouldn't be a problem. And here we go. We've got this link. I'm going to copy this into the browser and see if that at all works. It didn't. We're client ID.
It has the ID on there.
It does have the ID on there. And let's see. Do get.
Is that because you're using the URL from the picker instead of?
Maybe, you know what? Maybe. I think we have to use a dev copy. No?
Because you're trying just to get it to display the wall, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So like, so
isn't the wall URL different?
In here, right, was so that, you know, when you make a GET request to the URL, it takes that object of parameters, and it sees if there is not, this exclamation point is not, parameter sheet ID, then it's going to give you the start page, which is this page here. But if there is a sheet ID, it comes down here and it gives you the viewer, and it builds the page with the various the things you need here. So I want to take a look at parameter sheet ID. Let's just logger.log this e, and we can actually see what the object is here. Create a new variable, user accessing the web app, and we're going to update. With client ID. Parameter. Then we've got client ID. Oh, you know what? It's parameter, not parameters. Well, that right there
just turned into a literacy lesson.
About being precise. No, this still didn't load. Parameter client ID. Still showing the correct ID. Oh wait, there is a parameters over here.
Yeah.
Oh, but then that's in an array. So parameter client ID. Sorry, let's try one more. E dot parameter. That I just realized another thing about Ping. I'm looking for sheet ID and I'm sending it client ID. These are the little things about programming and coding that drive me crazy.
Always getting in the way.
Like the little
Absolutely.
So precise. So just not to like go off on a tangent, but like I've been working on this other thing where I've been talking about client ID like for the past couple hours, and so now I'm like switched over and sorry about that. Okay.
It's all good.
Parameter sheet ID, and I want to make this sheet ID. Fun part about troubleshooting. Cool. It's a good little tutorial about troubleshooting the simple problems involved in a.
Well, and I think also pointing out that you're using logger log to just double check. I think that's a really that's a really great function to run just to get that information.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once you really start working with the script editor, logger.log becomes like your best friend and just in trying to debug something.
Word.
And then there's also this, there's a bug editor built into the script editor. Though I find it easier and faster for me to just, throw logs in there. And to really see what I'm doing. Totally. So anyway, let's kick back to this. Really, an interesting thing too about your zoom. Like it takes the zoom for your page itself, and then your zoom for your editor have the same settings, which I guess are fine for the look. It looks good like this, but then when I look at my script editor, I can't see any of the words. So, all right, Dan, help me out. Where were we? We got that to load. We debugged that little thing. Where were we?
Yeah, so what else did we need? So do we need to build a...
I want sheet ID, sheet ID. I was even calling it sheet. I even called the variable sheet ID, and I was still sending client ID. Okay.
Yeah, this is cool because you don't have to use the picker because
right,
you
it's
get
just
the sheet ID of whatever you're on.
Okay. So let's just make sure. Let's make sure that in our Wonderwall, what we're logging here is going to be the correct URL.
Right.
And when I copy and paste that into the browser, I get, oh, nope, I didn't mean to copy this date. Let's see if that is correct. Yes, it is. Okay. So now what do we do with this URL? Should we, when the user runs this open Wonderwall, do we send them the URL link? Or do you know if there's a way that we can just open a new tab with this URL? Have you ever tried it?
Let's see here.
Because like if this is just straight JavaScript, it would just be like window, you know, I think it's window open, and then you can put the URL in there, and then you can set a target of like blank, or maybe it's blank, and that's.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
I think that opens up a new tab.
So window.open, yeah, URL.
Yeah, so in the script editor, like on the server side, the GS side, you don't have access to that window object. So I think we should just send back another UI. There's another UI dialog that we can just put a link right inside it, a little custom UI dialog that the user can just click on and open it in a new window. You want to do it that way, just to keep using some of these UI functions?
Like a UI element?
Yeah, it's like, so, right, equals,
yeah, dot.
Let's see, spreadsheet, get UI dot.
And then you can do alerts, buttons, prompts. I mean, you can pick anything. Button sets.
I'm going to open up the, so like in the script editor, you have access to the help API reference, and that takes you right to a great resource for, referring to various things you can do in the script editor.
Yeah, totally.
And, I don't know about you, Dan, but like when I got started, I was just copy and pasting things from this.
That's a great start, yeah.
Trying to make things work. I thought that was great. So there's a custom alert. So like there's these alert dialogues that we could open. There's a prompt where you would ask the user for a question. Then there's custom dialogues, which I think this is what we want.
Yeah, yeah, those are great.
So so we would want to just pop this up on the window, and with the link inside of it, that's going to open in a new tab.
Yep.
And so what we're going to do.
It's a great idea.
Let's just build that out here. Show dialog. This is what we want right here.
Yeah, just copy that. And it even sets the width height. That looks great.
And let's see here. Set width 400, height 400. And it's creating HTML output from file page. So we need to
have to make a new HTML file.
Sorry, I'll say
this is what's really cool, I think, because I mean, we've kind of just barely tapped into, like, I mean, you can really do really nice looking dialogues.
Oh yeah.
with I mean, if you really code it out really nice, I mean, you can, insert images and borders and color. I mean, you can make it look really good, really sharp.
Exactly. Once you start learning a little bit more HTML, and you can really get into some neat stuff. I am just really bad at HTML and CSS, and I mean, I just use Google for so many resources. How do I make it look like this? Google it.
Well, and I think that's what's. I mean, don't try to start from scratch. I think there's so many great resources out there. GitHub and other places that.
Oh yeah.
Have a lot of the work done. So.
Okay, so now just to explain what I just typed up here, I created an A-link with target of blank, which is going to be it's basically just saying open a new tab, not in our current tab. The text is going to be click here to open your Wonderwall. And then closing the A-link. Now this here is a little templated link to a variable link. So I'm going to try to explain that right now, where we're going to do this a little bit differently. So we've got to change the HTML output from file to create a template from file. And then we're going to, I think that's right. Then we're going to HTML, and then we're going to do link. And then we're going to make that equal the URL that we built. Then we're going to keep working on the HTML. We're going to then evaluate, because it's going to take that templated information. And we're going to set the height, set the width. And then we're going to spreadsheet app get UI, show modal dialog, HTML, my custom dialog.
Right.
I think that's going to work. But there's nothing to do but try. Have you ever used the templated stuff before?
I don't think so.
When you are in user interfaces, there's a little section here, templated HTML.
That's awesome.
It's for if you have like a static page and you just want to send variables right onto the page, but you don't need to change them for anything. It's a great way to do that, as opposed to using, building an HTML page and then, fetching the information from your HTML with something like JavaScript or, something like jQuery. But let's just try that out. And let's test it as an add-on. Test with latest code, installed and enabled. We're going to select the doc. Oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, spreadsheets. Sorry. Yep. And let's just test this. See if we get see if we get the desired effect. All right, in the Wonderwall add-on, if we open Wonderwall, needs authorization to run. We have to tell it that it can look at our information. User interface. Sorry about that. Where am I calling user interface? Get ID, HTML, service, create template from file, page, link, evaluate, show width, show modal dialog, invalid argument, user interface. That must be.
Did you forget the?
It must not be liking this right here.
Oh, the modal dialog?
Yeah.
I'm
going to try I'm just going to remove that little bit of link that I put in there. And oh, sorry, I forgot to change it back to HTML output from file.
Page.
Did I forget something? HTML for file. Page should be correct. Let's just see here. All right, we're just getting my custom dialog.
There, let's see.
And it's opening up a new, okay, so that all works. The problem is we don't have the href part.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to do with the...
trying to pass the link, yeah.
I was trying to pass that link variable in there.
It doesn't look like it came through.
Let's see. You should be able to create a template from file. Maybe you have to call then evaluate. Evaluates. Oh, oops. Okay, I'm just going to see if that still works because the link is not defined. So we've got to put link on this HTML bit. And then we're still sending HTML there. Link is not defined.
Is it getting
okay? Okay. Yeah, this is going to give me an error, I think.
Yeah.
Let's.
So it doesn't. It's not getting it over. It doesn't look like, or it's not passing.
Create template from file, evaluate, and then in the index. Pushing variables to templates. This is what I want to look at here. So we've got create template from file. Then we're adding t data. And then return t.evaluate. Okay, I'm going to try to simplify it even more. So we've got HTML service create template from file. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete the set height and width. I'm going to HTML Wonderwall URL. And then I'm going to HTML.evaluate. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to go and do it the other way.
Word.
Hey, there we go. Okay, but now it's kind of awkward looking, but it's working. What do you think?
Yeah, man, this is.
We'll add on Open Wonderwall, and it takes the data right from the page. Cool.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah, man, this is. It's not getting the pictures though.
I would bet that is because whatever links we put in when we were first doing it weeks ago are probably broken now. Look at.
It's possible.
Maybe, I don't know.
We'll have to look at that. But dude,
Yeah.
this is a great start. I love how kind of we demonstrated that you can make like a web app, and then use that web app, and then basically write some pretty simple add-on code, and utilize all the scripting that you did, all the coding you did in the web app. That's awesome.
Previous stuff. And I mean, look how simple this is. This is just 25 lines of code.
Yeah.
One line of an HTML document, oops. One line of an HTML document. But, yeah, super simple, not very well documented, not the prettiest code in the world. Like, it definitely could be cleaned up a little bit. And I think I will do that before I'll publish this to the Chrome Web Store, and I'll clean it up a little bit and publish it, and we'll see if anybody installs it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, man. I love it.
Cool. Well, anyways, I want to see what the project that you were talking about. So let me shift back to stop sharing, and let me see what you were working on.
Yeah, for sure. I look into.
I didn't realize that took 45 minutes.
No, you're doing great. Okay, I'm gonna go full screen here. So basically, I've been working on this code here. This is a badging template that I've been creating, and so one of the things that I wanted to do with my add-on is basically, and you've seen some of this before, but I want to be able to take this template. So this template has a lot of important things, like it has a lot of formulas and code, written on it, and formatting and stuff. And so what I was really trying to think about was, how could I get all this onto a blank template? Like if someone just opened up a blank spreadsheet. And so I was playing around, and oops, I just closed my script editor. I was playing around, and
one more time, show me what you were talking about. So you want everything that's there?
Yeah. So basically, this template, I want everything, every tab and every formula to be copied into a blank sheet, so someone could start blank, run the add-on, and so basically they would go to add-ons, go to here, badge you, and then the step 2 create template would basically download and copy everything you needed to get started, which is pretty fun to try to figure out. And so
and that's for the students, right?
This is actually so this will be for the students. So the teacher basically starts by running the add-on on a blank sheet, and then distributes the sheet through Google Classroom to kind of share it and send it out. And so anyway, it was really fun getting into this. So kind of what I started with, which was fun, was I don't know if that zoomed in for you or not.
Yeah, it did. So is that really how wide your screen is?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm thinking awesome of. Thing. I'm gonna switch here. I'm gonna switch sharing screens to my smaller one.
That must be a pretty epic monitor there you got going.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Okay. So anyway, one of the first things that you have to do is kind of define this sources. So essentially, this variable is pretty great. It's just you can open up a spreadsheet by ID, and so it opens up the template by ID by default, which is pretty cool. And so I was playing around. I know I was asking you a lot about like error checking and stuff.
Error checking. I see what you got there. Trying to catch. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found this. This is kind of cool if anyone's seen it. But basically, try catch is so. Try this, and basically, if there's an error, and this was kind of fun, basically I created another sheet, and so what happens is it opens this other sheet that I've created, and it gets the last blank row, and then in A1, cell A1, basically sets the value to sheet ID copy error. And what it is it's kind of a log. So anytime someone uses this, and if there's an error here in this code, it'll send me, like a little notification, and then uses the UI alert to basically display an error to the user to say, hey, like something went wrong. Okay. So you should email Dan to check it out. And I don't imagine this would ever go wrong, but like basically, what it's doing is it's checking to make sure the template's there. So like say I accidentally deleted the template or something happened, then it would shoot that error. So like if I just delete the number 8 here and save it.
Did you think about, because you can make it so automatically send you an email then with that error message in it. So it'll automatically just pop up in your mailbox. Somebody got this error message when they were doing it. There's a if you go into the API documentation, there's a mail app that you can use, and I think it just sends right from your Gmail account.
So if you do, yeah, I'm going to get something like that. So basically, if they were to try to do step 2, which is set up the sheet, it does that try catch, and so it just does this UI warning for the user.
Oh, cool.
Which is, there was an error, and then in my error log, you can see it created a new.
Gotcha.
And I could add more details, like I could try to capture like the sheet ID and some of that stuff, but more so it was just to tell me what kind of error was happening.
Yeah.
So then I could, like I said, go back and make sure the template's right. So that was kind of fun. I really enjoyed playing around and doing that. But so essentially,
Daniel,
go ahead.
One thing you can do is that variable where you have catch and then you have ERR there,
right.
That object, that should tell you the exact error that happened. So you can use that variable inside of your catch brackets, and get like if you were to just go to logger.log and log that ERR there,
right.
You can, get some more specific information from that.
Great. Yeah, I'll
work around with that.
I'll have you take a look at that with me. But so then basically down here I defined some variables, and so I had to I made some loops, and so what happens is that each of those tabs has a unique name. And so I use the I use copy2, and just basically copy each of these sheets into the blank sheet. But what happens is that so down here, let me kind of break it down. So basically, this for each loop, which is really cool. I know you helped kind of show me that. Basically, copy, get each name, and then copy to this sheet. And then what was kind of fun is that I was playing around with this names count thing, which was a little challenging, but basically I was able to rename the sheets, because when you copy a sheet, it changes the name. So like instead of ID, it makes it copy of ID.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so what I was able to do is that write this to say like, okay, set the active sheet and get the sheet by name, but look for the copy name instead of the original name.
Gotcha.
But I needed a way to move through this array. So I just did a basic like if-else counter. And so basically as it runs, right, it counts up each copy name and then renames it back to the original, which is really cool. And so basically it copies ID to copy of ID and then renames it back to ID again.
Okay.
Which is cool. And then down here, a lot of the sheets I want hidden. So you can actually use this. You can use a spreadsheet app, set active sheet by name, and then get range, and then hide that range. So like those don't display, and then you can use to hide the entire sheet. And that was cool because then they get hidden. So they set up and then get hidden. And so kind of what this looks like running is, let me just make sure I got a blank one. You can see I've been testing it a lot.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of copies in there. Test 12.
So for those of you who don't know, when you're running add-ons, you can test them just to see what they look like without all the scripts. So select doc, select your test, save, and then just test it. So it opens that sheet and runs it as with the add-on installed. So anyway, you start, basically they start with a blank sheet, and I added some little HTML into the menu. So like if you go to the add-on, the first step is actually a little dialogue that just is a welcome, but you need this teacher template. And so this is a link that just has you make a copy of the teacher template to create the badges. And then once they're done with that, then they run the add-on. And so if I do this create template, hopefully it should basically copy and then hide everything. So as I run it, you can see down here at the bottom, it's actually, you can see it's making the
copying in there, yeah. And then renaming.
Yeah, copying and renaming.
Yeah.
And you can see they're copying up here. And it's pretty cool. I'm thinking of adding some sort of a dialogue like, don't close the window, or, you know, just wait patiently because it takes a second. And there's a little working dialogue that Google has built in here down at the bottom, but I was thinking of adding my own. And then once it hits the end, then they should all start disappearing. Most of them should disappear because they get hidden, which is.
They get hidden. I saw that hide sheet command too. Yeah.
So down here, we should see them start disappearing here in a second. Yeah, there they go. Now they're all hidden.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That was pretty fast. So then you have now you have a full functioning template to share with kids.
Awesome. Awesome. And so this is like starting you off with a brand new one of these badging systems for a teacher to then kind of build their own badging system, right? Or a school to have their own badging system?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I dig that.
One thing that I'll just show really quick that was kind of fun too is that down here at the bottom, I had to write a little extra code. So when the sheet was copying, like a lot of these formulas reference other sheets. And so what I found is that if a sheet was created that needed to reference another sheet, but that hadn't been created yet, I would get an error. Even though that sheet would be created, 2 seconds later, it was still an error because it wasn't there. So like your badges needed to reference the XP tab, which is over here, but the XP sheet would get created later. And so your badges would have an error up here because XP hadn't been created yet. And I couldn't find a way to like get Google to like or the sheet to like refresh or like check to see that XP was there again, that XP sheet. So down here, I wrote just a couple fixes. So you can use this like spreadsheet app, get active sheet, get range, like a specific cell, and then set value. And when you write set value, you can write in the specific formula.
Yeah, okay, I see.
And so basically any cells that had errors, I just made them rewrite their value again, and it worked perfectly, which was kind of cool.
Okay. That's just, okay, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
So anyway, I'm just building in some error checking, and then I'm gonna kind of comment out some stuff as to what it is, and hopefully get it deployed as an add-on here. I got all my images up, so.
Now, before you had it set up where there was like a little button, so like a student would have to go to a tab and then click on the go button.
Oh yeah, I fixed that.
To update their sheets. So you don't need to do that anymore?
Yeah, so I'm gonna make another add-on that's just for kids. So I'm gonna have like the teacher add-on and then the kid add-on. And the teacher add-on like has everything, right? Like where you can create the template and connect the sheets and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the kid one will just have this menu item, which is check for new badges.
Okay.
And that's this get data function, which is really basic. It just checks only for these sheets for new data. It's really basic.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that was the one that we wrote kind of last time we were on a hangout, right?
Yeah. So we worked on this one a little while, and the thing that was cool that we figured out is that basically in this picker, which is mostly the same picker that is in the Google documentation, essentially what we did is that we wrote it to, let's see here. So it gets the picker, opens the dialog. Where does it write it? Yeah, it was right here. So we did this set props function.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. We were trying to set that one cell, right?
Yeah. And so that's one of the hidden sheets. And so basically it writes the teacher template ID into a cell that then when the kids are doing the refresh, that's what it's referencing for the sheet ID, which is really cool.
Right. And you hide that whole sheet away, right? That ID sheet.
Yep. And so one thing, one of the errors I'll probably build in specifically for the kid one that I was working on is that like if that tab got deleted or that ID got deleted somehow, or if the cell's blank. And I think I was working on that. I might have deleted it, but I had a little notification basically that was like, you're trying to, update the badges, but you haven't selected a teacher template yet, basically something like that to reference them. So you need to go back and complete step 2 or something like that. I can't remember. But no, it's coming together good. I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah, it's looking good. And I think you're basically using the looping correctly. What were the questions that you had about did you have questions about for each specifically?
Well, one of the things that I was struggling with was like passing variables. And a couple of weeks ago when we were working together, you were kind of talking about how the variables can pass into the for each function.
Sure, and but they can't pass out.
Do what?
But they can't pass out. So like, because of the way JavaScript scoping works, if you just Google JavaScript scoping, you can get a much better explanation of how it works. So it can read variables from outside of its scope.
Right.
And the scope is basically everything inside the curly braces.
Right.
Okay, so it can read from outside of that, but the things outside of that scope can't read the variables inside.
Right. Yeah. So and that was fine. I think that yeah. So I think I was just confused a little bit about that, but once I was able to kind of because like before, like I would try to do that. The thing that was hard is like I needed to have the names variable of all the original names pass, and then I needed also the copy names because I needed it to recognize the copy names. And when I was running it, the copy names wouldn't. It would say like copy names is undefined, and finally I was able to basically get it to do the name, but then like it would every time it would try to run like loop through again, it would start over at the beginning. So like it kept looking for copy of ID, which is the first sheet in the array, but it wouldn't advance down the array. And so I had to use the counter to basically push
I
push
see.
it down
That's why
the array.
that's where that 18 was.
Yeah. Because there were 18
okay.
sheets to copy, and so once I figured that out, then it was like butter. But the because I had an each variable and the copy sheets variable has all the names, and so that looped fine. Like that looped perfect, and it would go through the entire array. But I had to use the counter to get through the second array, that was what was tough.
Okay. Well, I have to run now. It's a little bit after 8 here, but there is something I think I want to show you about. Instead of creating those 2 arrays, one with the copy of, like I think you can do it all from one array. I just wrote. I actually took some notes while you were talking.
Oh, awesome!
I don't want to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
Can we come back to that?
For sure,
come back to it later. All right, dude. I think that was a pretty good hour.
Yeah, sounded great. Thanks everyone for joining. I saw we had like 1 or 2, even 3 viewers at one point. So.
Oh wow.
Nice. But,
yeah, dude, I like it. I don't care if nobody ever watches us. I'll keep chatting with you about bad systems and building UIs, dude.
We're gonna keep going. We're going to start flooding everybody with add-ons.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Build as much fun little content as we can.
All right, man. Well, have a great evening, and we'll try to do this again next week.
All right. Cheers, man.
All right. See you, Jordan.